Welcome to the Out of the Basement GIS Pro and Intelligence webinar. I'm Laura Krennick, Intelligence Marketing Coordinator here at Esri. Your presenters today are Ben Conklin and Renee Bernstein. This webinar will showcase ideas for how GIS professionals can get out of the basement and become an integral part of the intelligence process. At the end of the webinar, we'd love your feedback on today's presentation and demo. There will be survey questions that arrive at the end of the webinar. Please take a moment to complete the questions so that we may continue to cover topics that are useful to you. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the same page you registered from. I will now turn over the webinar to Ben and Renee.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning. Thanks for joining us and taking some time out of your day to listen to us talk about the role of the GIS professional in intelligence and how we can do more to help you and how you can do more in your organization to make sure that your role is relevant and helping with the mission of the intelligence community and helping them accomplish their goals and help them make a difference. So one of the key things, the nature of intelligence is the idea that intelligence needs to be actionable. And what that means is that really it needs to be fast. We need to be operating quickly in these decision loops, and our decision loops need to be faster than that of our adversary, and that's the fundamental nature of it. But it needs to be relevant and timely and also useful intelligence to help feed the intelligence cycle. I think back to when I first started as a trained analyst in the Marine Corps back in the 90s. Back then we would do cross-country mobility overlays manually. We'd manually combine overlays, we'd do calculations with calculators, and it would take us weeks and months of many people working in shifts to do a cross-country mobility study for maybe peninsulas in North Korea, for example. And really we found that that was not fast enough. We weren't able to actually make the products to help support the decision cycle. So we were very happy to start using GIS to automate that process and get our months-long work down to a few weeks and a few days, and that at the time was enough. Now we're seeing that the problems are even more challenging, and actually the timelines are even tighter. So there's new sources of data out there. There's a lot of different sensors at all different scales, from national down to tactical levels. There's the need to quickly ingest and normalize that data so we can do analytics on it. And then ultimately the desire is to have a multi-int view of all of our intelligence information. This doesn't mean that the different intelligence disciplines go away. What this means is that we want to have a system for integrating multiple sources of intelligence data together to create a multi-int view or multi-int product. So all the intelligence disciplines can work together to combine information to create true multi-int products. And one of the key concepts inside of intelligence is that really location can help us understand. There's really no other single method to organize all of the data related to intelligence activity other than space and time. It's the only thing common to all of our intelligence data. And intelligence professionals want to see how things are connected. They want to see how people, events, and outcomes are connected. And the best way to do that is looking at it and understanding it in space and time. So in this world where clearly the role of geospatial technologies is so important, why is it that many organizations that we visit and work with kind of hide their GIS guys away in the basement? Maybe not literally, but in many ways they are. They're sitting off in the corner, they're in a special group. They respond to simple map requests, map chips to put into PowerPoint, maybe simple one-off products. They do a lot of one-off analytics, looking at things like maybe visibility or line of sight over a specific target. They spend a lot of their time hunting for data, and quite often, one of the unintended consequences of this is that they end up spending a lot of time duplicating effort, where many different GIS analysts and organizations are spread out, and they're not collaborating and working together effectively. So they end up duplicating a lot of effort. We definitely see the role that GIS professionals can be the backbone of intelligence, but we need to shift the focus from a simple kind of request response model to actually empowering our customers. People want the ability to do more. They want to be able to operate faster, and they want the power to understand information in geographic context at their fingertips. This doesn't diminish the role of the GIS professional. This actually empowers the GIS professional. So if you're on this call, you're probably thinking to yourself, how can I make sure I'm relevant? What work can I do as a GIS professional to ensure that I'm relevant in the intelligence community? We're going to recommend 4 specific areas that you could focus on to help ensure you're relevant and help serve the needs of your organization better and supply them with the GIS capabilities that they really need in an intelligence organization. I'm going to go into each of these areas in more detail. The first is enabling your organization with self-service GIS. The second is to curate and create useful, ready-to-use content. The third is to help deliver mission-focused applications. And the fourth is then to use the time and abilities that you're going to be afforded to focus in on specialty analytics that you can leverage your GIS knowledge and your GIS expertise in order to solve really complex problems. So why are we here? What's changed that's causing us to have this conversation and this discussion? What we're seeing is a whole new pattern is really emerging as technology is advancing. A lot of the advancements come in the areas of new kinds of data. There's new kinds of sensors, collecting things like wide area motion imagery, social media data, open source intelligence data, movement intelligence data, crowdsourcing data. And that content, all that new data, is driving the desire for new applications, new ways to visualize and understand this information. And these new applications are driving, of course, new users. New people want access to this data, and they want to be able to use it on their own to take action and to make understanding happen. Now, the enabling capability underneath all of this, of course, is advances in technology. New capabilities like cloud computing, virtualization, faster computing, new kinds of devices are all making it possible to extend the reach of GIS capabilities and also extend it out to new applications. But of course, location mapping and GIS are becoming essential. They've really always been essential in this world. It gives us a fundamental language for understanding and managing our world. It helps us provide context and content about everything. Everything has a time and a place and a location, and that helps us bring it together data and understand it in new ways. So GIS really provides the framework and the process for enabling the smarter community. To begin with, of course, GIS is often used just simply in the form of data integration and management. I want to bring my data together, I want to centrally manage it and store it, and I want to have a quality control process that makes it easy to manage that data. The primary purpose, of course, in managing that data is to enable it for visualization in the form of maps and scenes. And of course, we see the real power of GIS is taking that data and analyzing and modeling it in new ways. This enables understanding, which then can support planning and design, looking at future states of entities and objects. What's a future plan? What can we do differently, and how would that impact things? Driving that forward, of course, that affects our ability to make decisions, and we can help use maps and geographic information to communicate decisions and to help us support decision making. And then finally, we actually use it to take action. We can actually use the GIS, of course, to measure the actions. We can collect information that helps us measure and understand our actions as they're occurring, but also we can decide how effective our actions are and kind of feed back into that process. And what we're seeing with GIS is that we're integrating into many different ways, and we're seeing some new patterns about how these different systems are being implemented and being developed and being supported. So first off, we see this new pattern emerging of a GIS system of record. For many of you in your environments, this might be the system you're responsible for. This is the authoritative databases of foundational information that are being used by everybody in the organization and are being relied upon. Next, of course, is a system of engagement, taking our geographic information and extending it out to everybody in our organization, letting them make and share maps on any device at any time. And then finally is this new pattern of a system of insights, a system that lets us bring together different data for analysis and visualization, helps us make decisions from real-time information, and helps us run our businesses. And all of these new systems have GIS at their heart, and they have GIS professionals who are key to making them successful. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the key to the system, the central technology that really enables these things to come to life, and that is through the portal. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Renee Bernstein, and she's going to talk to us about the WebGIS and the portal.
Thank you, Ben. So as Ben mentioned, the heart of this is Portal for ArcGIS. So what you're seeing here is an instance of Portal for ArcGIS. And what it allows you to do is share, collaborate, store, and even create content. And it is a user-friendly interface that allows you to look at the top, have selection of gallery, map, scene, groups, my content, and my organization. And we'll go through several of these, starting with gallery. By clicking on the gallery, I'm provided a view of all the content that is available to me. The first set of content is Esri featured content, or otherwise known as the Living Atlas. This information is available in all different ways via imagery, base maps, historical maps, story maps. All of these are options for me to use. But I can also take a look at feature content within my organization, looking specifically at maps, layers, applications, and even tools, all of which have been published by myself or colleagues with access to the portal. Each one of us has a username that we have signed in with, and that's how we know who has published this information. And we can see by clicking on one, it tells me who the tool was created by and some information about it. But how can I get additional information about that? Well, one way is through groups. Groups is a great way to organize your content or organize a project or mission you're working on. You can create a group and control access of who has availability to that group. By clicking on a group here, we see there currently are 10 members in this group. People can be invited to this group, or we can see here there's actually a membership request that has been sent to us. And we can click on this and we can decide whether or not that individual gets membership into this group. So it's a great place to discover information and share that information, but it's also a great place to go and create. And part of this is by using our map. Here I've created a brand new web map. As it opens up, I can create and add data in. Now, searching for data by searching layers is as simple as putting in a keyword. I can put a word in there such as global and look for the global terrorism database and add this in. What this is allowing me to do is to take a data set and pull it in, but this is allowing me to discover it. This isn't something that I put out there. This is something that a colleague of mine put out there that I am going to utilize. And we're going to zoom into an area over Nigeria because I'm interested in taking a look at some of these terrorism activity within the country of Nigeria. So I want to add in some additional data here, and I'm looking to see if I can find some information about Nigeria. I can look and see that the same colleague of mine has published data on state boundaries as well as local government areas. I'm going to go ahead and add in the state boundaries. And we can see it has added it in, but it's completely filled. By simply clicking on it and clicking on the symbology, I have the ability to go in and edit what the symbology is for this. So I can suggest that the outline is black or white, so it shows up off the dark background, and I can change the outline thickness as well. And I've changed the fill color to no color. And now I can see all of my points below. Now that I've done this, I want to take a closer look at the data, and I want to do some analysis. So not only am I creating the map, I'm able to do analysis on the map as well. By simply clicking the analysis button, I can click and I can find locations, and I can see that there are a variety of different tools. Now I could go in and summarize data. I can data enrich the data. I can look at patterns as well, but I'm specifically trying to narrow down this one large data set to only see the points that are within Nigeria. So from there, I want to take a look at that, excuse me, and I want to create, I want to summarize these within. So I want to take the areas to summarize. I want it within its boundaries of Nigeria and these data. And now I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to rename this to Terrorism Incidents in Nigeria. And I'm going to run the analysis. Now what this will provide me is a whole nother layer. So as this is running, it is going through all of these points and picking out what is specifically within here. Now, I've summarized it, so I'm getting a cluster here. Now I can go back and I can find the locations that are, find existing locations, and I can find the terrorism locations, and I can find the expression. So you can see there's a wide variety of different analysis tools that I can run within my web map. So now I've done different types of analysis on here. I can pick and choose what I want to use and take a look at. So we see that all my points here, so if I turn off my clustering, and then if I turn off the whole database, we see now that I am just left with that specific data within my Nigerian borders. So what I'd like to do now is save this map. So I'm going to save this map, and we see here that it's asking me for 3 key bits of information. It's asking me for a title. It's asking me for tags. Now this is very important. These are tags are what those keywords you saw me search for when I was looking for these data sets and the border and information on Nigeria. It's also asking me for a brief summary. So I'm going to go ahead and save my map. Now this map has been saved within my content. So let's jump over to my content and take a look at what we find over there. So we see that it has saved the 2 layers that I created through analysis, as well as my web map. We notice that it gives us our title, the type of item that is saved within my content, and think of this my content as like your C drive that you would have on your computer. This is where you store all your files, and you can create folders to organize them as well. So currently we're seeing that I have a web map and feature layers, but this could also be PowerPoints, Excel files, CSV files, KMLs, etc. It shows the date that it's been modified, and it also shows whether or not it's been shared. If I click on the web map, what it's pulling up is an additional page where I can go in and add any additional information that I need to, whether it be changing a title or changing a summary. You can see it's added in a thumbnail for me. It's added the layers that are part of this web map. I can go in and edit the description. I can go in and edit who has access and what constraints or what they are for them if I need to give credit to someone as well. So think of this as your metadata. We can also see the tags that I added are here. If I need to add additional, it shows I am the owner of it, as well as what folder it currently sits in. Now the sharing part that we talked about a moment ago is right here. It's asking me where I want to share it. There are a couple of options. I can share it specifically to a group, like we saw earlier. I can share it out to ArcGIS for Defense, which is my overall portal, or I can share it out to everyone. By sharing it to ArcGIS for Defense, anyone that has a username and login for our portal will have access to find this. If I share this out to everyone, anyone from the public would be able to find this. So for this time, I'm going to just go ahead and save this under ArcGIS for Defense. It's allowing me to update all of my layers within there as well, so they match the same level. And so with that, that is an overview of Portal for ArcGIS, and I'd like to turn it back over to Ben.
All right, thank you, Renee. So what Renee was showing you, of course, is the technology known as ArcGIS Portal, which helps us enable this idea of this self-service mapping. So it lets us take our data and our content off of our just computers and off of our desktops, put it into the web, and make it available through web maps and web scenes to everyone in our organization. So why do we want to do this? Well, we want to do this so that way people in our organization can actually access authoritative content themselves, so they can use it to integrate information and collaborate with each other. We want to bring together a variety of different data sources, whether those are our internal data sources, our external data sources from open source data, or those might even be analytic services, and serve those out to everybody in our organization, whether that's the intelligence analysts or even potentially our operational users. Now, this portal technology is available today for anybody in the intelligence community in the US, and it's deployed in many different intelligence organizations around the world. One example of this is the Intelligence Community GIS portal, or the ICGIS portal, which is deployed and managed by NGA. It has over 60,000 users on multiple networks across the intelligence community. It takes the foundational content and makes it available through cloud services in a variety of different applications for everybody in the community. And these 60,000 users, of course, go well beyond the traditional GIS professionals, and this goes out to all the analysts in the community to make briefings, make maps, and share information with each other. But of course, GIS professionals are key contributors that power this and make this system come to life. And the system does provide this authoritative content. There's definitely a need for authoritative content, and this authoritative content needs to be ready to use. It needs to be available as services that can be consumed by the users in the community, not data that they have to download and assemble and put together for themselves, like many of you might be used to, but as living services. We like to think of this concept as, this concept of a living atlas. It's a wide range of living services that anybody can access anywhere in your organization that's authoritative, but can be used as foundational data, not just for visualization, but also for analysis. It's timely and accurate, it's ready to use, and it's authoritative, and it's delivered at the point that the analyst or warfighter needs it to make decisions and operational success. Now, we're not going to go into depth on how to manage this data. What I'd like to encourage you to do, if you're responsible for curating content in your organization, is sign up for our Modernizing National Government series. This is all about modernizing this foundational and authoritative content and making it available to everybody in your organization. So you can visit either of these websites, the go.esri.com Modernizing Government webinars, to sign up for webinars like this one, talking about how to manage your authoritative content, or just visit our Mapping and Statistics website, and this will help you see examples of how to manage foundational content. So what we're seeing through these examples is how GIS is evolving, and by evolving, it's actually expanding your capabilities as a GIS professional. We're moving from this client-server basis into web services and web apps, where these things have implications in terms of accessibility. You can make it so more people have access to knowledge, and so expert knowledge isn't required just to view and access maps. So we're moving away from these standalone desktops to connected systems that are hydrated with information from others. We're moving away from concentrating strictly on data models to concentrating on web maps and developing great information products and layers that we can share and use together, from static data to real-time data, from single servers to whole clusters of computing, and from custom applications where you have to spend a lot of money and time to write, to the idea that I can just grab one of these off the web and configure it, load and go. From proprietary data and proprietary systems to open data and shared services in a network, a sort of nervous system of the planet. Moving from 2D features to 3D features, from straightforward simple spatial analysis to a whole world of space-time and big data analytics, and from making maps and cartography with computers to using the power of the computer to help us create better maps and tell better stories with technologies like smart mapping. So this WebGIS capability is really transformed into a platform, and you can think of the role as the GIS professionals being the person who helps fuel that platform, the way that the data and content and authoritative information is being made available, helps with the deployment of the apps, and drives it out to new users in your environment. And we've already seen with the key technologies that enables this, it's this new technology called web maps and web scenes. These are just simple concepts, but they're very powerful. They're a single way to manage distributed data and across your organization, bring it together into one place, and then make it dynamically discoverable and usable by anybody in any application on any device at any time. It takes the data away from our computers and away from our desktops, and it puts it in the web and makes it useful for everybody in the organization. So the GIS professional, of course, is going to want to use some special applications to interact with this system to create these web maps. They're going to use their desktop applications, whether that's ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro. So ArcGIS Pro is our new desktop application. It's our flagship desktop that's really built with this new world of WebGIS in mind. It connects to portals, allows you to create and author new services and create new web maps, and it gives you a great new user interface that's easy to use, faster to learn, and much more powerful to develop your products in the desktop. So to give us a view of this new desktop, and especially to highlight some of the new features in the 2.0 release, I'm going to turn it back over to Renee, who's going to walk you through ArcGIS Pro.
Thank you, Ben. So as Ben mentioned, ArcGIS Pro 2.0 was just released, actually was released yesterday. ArcGIS Pro is a 64-bit application that runs on your machine, and it runs as part of the ArcGIS desktop suite. So what you see in front of you is that interface. It's very user-friendly. You're seeing the very familiar ribbon interface up top. Easy access to buttons, so not all as much of a deep dive into analytical tools, hunting for things as you would in ArcMap. So we're going to take a look at a couple of the new features within 2.0. Starting with what we have here is data that has been brought in from KML, and we're looking at some data over North Korea. We've taken this data from the KML data and converted it, so we now have all of this information as specific layers that I can edit and work through and do analysis on as I wish. So one of the really neat things that has come with 2.0 is we now have the ability to make charts within ArcPro. So by simply right-clicking a table, I can create a bar chart. We can see here I still have access to see my map, and it pops up a chart properties window right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take a look at the type of missiles, so the missile names that are being sent. I have a couple options here as to how I want this to be shown on the bar chart. So we're going to show the missile name and the facility in which it's coming from. So we can see right here I've been given a chart. I can look at the properties of that, which provides this window, but also you see an additional tab has been created up top. So within this tab, I can go in and I can change things such as the background. So I can have a dark gray background. I can go in and change the text. And change it so it's visible with this background. And now I've got a very bright, vibrant chart that's usable. It's easy to read. I can export this out as I wish, so it can be used as an image in other areas. Now this is just one way to create the chart. Now one of the other nice things that came about when ArcGIS Pro came out was with tasks. So we have the ability to create a task in here. I'm going to open up my task. And I can create a task by using what I've done. I can record an item. I can add a step. We have what's called a task designer that allows me to go in and create. And so I can say create a chart. And now that I have this, I can go in and add the step. And it can actually ask me, what do I want my actions to do? So by simply recording what I'm doing, right-clicking, create a bar chart, it's going to record that in here. Now, what's the advantage of this? The advantage of this is you can take your task and you can create step-by-step actions to create a workflow for a user. So no longer do you have to go through and train them necessarily on every process of what they need to do in their step. You can create a whole task setup that they can go through and follow the steps to get their work done. So we're going to go ahead and close that out. One of the advantages as well within ArcGIS Pro is the ability to do 3D. So what we're going to look at is some 3D buildings also within North Korea. And we're going to take a look at one of our newest tools that was released, and that is the new on-screen navigation tool. Everybody's used to panning around with your hand and your view to kind of look. You can identify as you're going through. You can process things. You can use your mouse wheel to rotate the axes. But now you have this on-screen navigation tool. So you can move slowly as you wish. You can pan through. You can view the axes as you like, so you can rotate it down or up so you're on the level of the building. You can zoom in. And we can move. Now you have full control over this. Now, you now have the full control over this, but the really cool part is if you have a touch screen, this works with the touch screen. And it also will work in conjunction with your regular mouse or any keyboard shortcuts. So you don't necessarily have to turn one on and one off to use them. You can go interchangeably with them. One of the things that has also come to our attention that was brought to us was all about labels and symbology. So what you're seeing here is a map that we have a bunch of street names on. And I've gone ahead and right-clicked and brought up the labels property window here to allow us to take a look at this. One of the big things is people questioned how can we place names along a road. It would be that you would look at an area and you would see that the road would curve, but the text would be on top of it and go straight across into somewhere else. So now you can see as I zoom in, the street names are actually following along with the curve of the road and not covering over anything else. So in this instance, we have a street name, we have a name of a bridge, and then the street name changes at the other side of the bridge. So by going into the position of your label class, you can choose where you would want your text to be located. And one of the great parts about ArcGIS Pro is the simplicity of being able to share this data out. As you can notice in the top corner here, I'm currently logged into my portal. Using that same username and password that I had for a portal, I'm logged in and I can access that same one. So I can go here and I can share out this map simply as you saw earlier by taking information and putting in that same information it asked for. Give it a name, I can give it a summary, and also those keywords, the tags. It also allows me to pick what my sharing options are. It tells me what groups I'm part of as well as my organization. And it shows that it's automatically going to put it in my content. And by the simple click of a button, I can share this out and have access to this within my portal. With that, I will turn it back over to Ben.
All right, thank you, Renee. So what Renee's done is walked us through how the ArcGIS Pro is really being updated and improved to give the GIS professional all the latest tools that they need to do all the work you're used to, but also how it works as part of a connected system. She's able to pull in all the maps. She's able to directly use data sources like KML. She's able to publish out and create web maps directly from that application. So it's built as a connected desktop that's part of this WebGIS world. And it's really the great tool for the GIS professional to be able to contribute to and be part of this new WebGIS world. And this helps then us manage and support all the different missions that need to be supported through the GIS and intelligence organization. In addition to supporting intelligence, the foundational data and authoritative content you're making and curating is being made available to everybody in the organization. Now, if you need help getting started with how to, leverage these desktop tools or some of these new applications, and you want to make sure you're building the right kind of mission purpose applications, we have a lot of templates to help you get started with that. And so many of the templates exist for a desktop, but also, of course, they can help you get started with some of the web applications that you'll see in a little bit. All you need to do is visit solutions.arcgis.com, and these templates can serve as a starting point to help you build these mission-specific maps and help you support these kind of configurations of applications in the WebGIS world. What we're really seeing as we look at this pattern is this GIS connecting everyone in the organization. And what's happening is that people want to view their intelligence information on maps. They want to make their own maps. They want to be able to drag and drop their data. They want to be able to look at it quickly on a map. And they want to be able to use authoritative data and tools. And they want to access these maps through focused applications. They want to do that on any device, anywhere in their environment, and anywhere in their organization. And so as a GIS professional, really the great role you can take is helping to deliver what we like to call mission-focused applications. And these are not the general purpose map making applications, but these are specific apps that are focused on supporting all the different phases of the intelligence cycle. So there's applications you can configure to help you plan and collect intelligence information, whether that's applications like form-driven applications like Collector or Survey 123. That might be applications to help you manage your workforce. We also have applications for, of course, doing exploitation and analysis, which we'll see a little bit down the road here. Those might be applications for looking at data in real time, or applications for doing lightweight or more sophisticated analytics. And then finally, we have applications for creating and disseminating interactive products, whether that's putting maps inside of PowerPoint, or that might be bringing together in the form of interactive products that we like to call story maps, to replace the static PowerPoint briefing, but to take on a new interactive briefing product that anybody can use anywhere in the organization. So we have a variety of different applications, and as a GIS professional, you can enable your organization with these apps. You can help them by configuring these applications and making the configured apps available to others in your organization so they can make their own maps, access real-time data, and share information with everybody and collaborate. So with that, I'm going to actually turn it back over to Renee another time so she can show us how these applications can be configured by a GIS professional.
Thank you, Ben. So we're back to the map that we created, the web map, back in our portal. And now we want to take this to the next step. We know we've saved it, we've shared it to within the portal itself, but now I want to share this map out even farther. So by clicking the share button, we see once again I'm given the option to share out to my groups. I'm also given the option to click on the link, copy and paste that into an email, and somebody can view that as well. And as Ben mentioned, there's a wide range of configurable applications, allowing you to do an assortment of different things. So by clicking on a web applications, we're given two tabs, configurable applications as well as web app builder. And we're going to take a look at both, starting with configurable applications. These range from a variety of different things, from basic viewers, comparing analysis, editing, finding and editing and filtering, GeoForms, which is a configurable application to collect data, or, as Ben mentioned, story maps. Story maps are very similar to a PowerPoint, but it's a very dynamic, interactive activity where the maps you're using are dynamic and you can walk through them, and we'll take a look at a few of those. Excuse me. But the one we're going to take a deeper dive into will be into Web App Builder. And we can see here that Web App Builder is going to create some information for us. We're just going to take this summary and copy right down here. And what Web App Builder allows us to do is create a web-based application without having the knowledge of coding. My background is not as a coder. I don't know Python, JavaScript, C++, any of that. But this allows me to go in and create a web application that I can publish and share with others that can be used. It's a GUI-based interface that allows you to pick your theme. So we have everything from the billboard to a tab view, and you can see as I click on them, it shows you what it will look like. I'm going to go ahead and use the Launchpad theme. I will say this is one of the few that I really like. It's very fluid, clean lines. I like the brown. They've just added the brown color to it. I feel like it really pops, especially when you have this dark gray base map that I'm using. You can choose the layout you'd like as well. You can go into your map if you need to change anything, change your web map, change the extent, and then you can go into your widgets. Now the widgets are great in the sense that, think about when you go into an application on your phone, there's all these different tools that you can use and they allow you to do what you want on this application. This is where you decide what you would like to add. You can see there are a couple that are already added here. We have our legend and our layer list. We have our search up here. We have our measure. So you can see over here, these are the ones that are automatically added in. By clicking on the widget here, we're giving the widgets that are provided out of the box. So I can go in and I can click the About and add that one in. It gives us information about the actual map. So you have the option of 3 here. So I'm going to go ahead and bookmark You can change as well the, excuse me, you can change out what you want the thumbnail to be. So you can see here, you can change the widget icon. So if you have something specific to your agency or your project, you can change this out so it's very recognizable. You can say use the feature. It gives you all these different options, what you want. So if it's editable, I want to be able to cut or reshape. You know, I want to merge. I want to leave this open to whatever the user needs to do, and all of that information. So that provided the widgets off to the side here. Now this down here is my toolbar, and I can add additional widgets here in what we call the anchor bar. And I can go in here and add additional things such as analysis, and I can use the measurement, and I can choose the add data button as well. So I can go into the analysis, and I can click it here. And what you'll notice is this is bringing up the 23 analysis tools that we saw within Portal for ArcGIS. So what I did is I clicked on all of them and hit OK. So now when I go click on the analysis tool, I now have the ability to run that same kind of analysis that I did within Portal right here. I can find existing locations, and I get that same wizard box to allow me to find it. So if I needed to do additional information, I can go into my layer list, and I can add in the clusters I created. I can add in the large data set as well. And so what you're noticing is this is very user-friendly. They want you to be able to go in, feel comfortable doing this. Now, what's really nice is, as Ben mentioned, these are things that you may not necessarily view on your computer in the office at all times. You may be viewing this on a tablet, on a phone. So within the previews, we can go in and take a look and see what it would look like on specific devices. So this is the iPad Air. I can look at it on an Android device to see how it would be viewed. So I may need to go in and, you know, change the number of tools or where they're located within. And so I can always go back and configure this, and by simply clicking the launch button, what this will do is put this into a launch mode. I'm now out of the edit mode, available, ready to roll, and I can send this off to someone to use. So I wanted to give you a brief intro to what Web App Builder was, but I also wanted to show you a couple other completed applications. So coming out of Web App Builder and looking at another one, this is one that we have within our team for our military tools for ArcGIS. Now the military tools for ArcGIS are available as widgets within Web App Builder, and they're available off of GitHub. GitHub is a great location community to use. There are numerous amounts of geoprocessing tools and other widgets that people have created and shared out to the public. And that goes as well for other images. So some of the other ones we looked at were story maps and other templates available. This is one that's looking at imagery, and we have the swipe tool available to look at the differences of imagery over time. We also have a story map that shows more like a PowerPoint. I can look and get information on a mission project we're looking at, click on a specific one, get an image, walk through here, and take a look at each image as we go through. But one of those other templates was GeoForm that I mentioned earlier, and that allows you to go out into the public and collect data. So using a feature service that allows you to pick and choose where you are, we've already pre-selected a lot of these different instances that you can go out and say what you're collecting and what area you are. You can attach photos, and it will place it right onto the map for you. And this was actually a really good one. We were talking about Nigeria, and I wanted to bring this up. This was actually a story map that was released yesterday by our story maps team here at Esri, and they've taken a look at several different areas within Africa and published out some interactive story maps about the countries. So this is the crisis in Nigeria, current constantly looking at the people in need, and we can see, and you can kind of see the correlation about terrorism events that we saw in the northern eastern part of Nigeria, as well as what's currently going on and where the crises are within the country. So overall, that gives you a quick glance at some of our different applications that are available for use. And I encourage you to go out and take a look at storymaps.esri.com, as well as take a look at our community out on GitHub for more information. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ben.
Thanks, Renee. That was great. I really like that story map at the end. That was really neat to see. So I think what Renee just showed you is, you know, a variety of different applications that you as a GIS professional can configure for everybody else in your organization. I think you saw how easy it was to configure a fairly specialized and very specific application. But then once you've done that, that becomes a super simple app to train people in your organization on. There's only 3 or 4 buttons. The inputs are easy to use. And of course, there's all kinds of other apps like the GeoForm and Survey 123, which don't even really require training. You just send out the URL and people can start using it. It's just a great way to extend your reach in your organization. Instead of doing all those one-off requests or getting garbage data from your users, you can configure these apps and make it possible to enable folks in your organization to do new and interesting things with it. So that's what we like to talk about, the idea of a mission-focused app. So they're browser-based, they were easy to configure, we could add in custom tools, and they were all powered by those services, that ready-to-use content that we talked about earlier. They're powered by web maps that you create in the portal. Of course, the next thing is really the idea of how do we now then do some more specialty analytics. And you know, the key thing here is that, of course, GIS has always been about analysis, and now we have lots of different ways we can do analysis. We can do analysis against big data. Instead of subsampling it down, we can run our analytics against large data sets and against big data. We can do interactive analysis, and we can build up interactive analytic products that we can share and collaborate on with other people in our organization. And of course, we can do the deep and traditional spatial analysis and geoprocessing, and then share that out as analytic services with other people in our organization. One of the things we're going to talk about today, of course, is a new application that's really leveraging this WebGIS pattern to make analysis easier to do, and really to do more exploratory analytics. It's a new application. It's visual, intuitive, and responsive, and it lets us do this dynamic spatial analytics, and it's very fast. I think as a GIS professional, you can think of it as a tool you can use to do fast analytics. You can also think of it as a tool you can use with data scientists and other analysts in your organization to collaborate on spatial analytics problems. It's a way you can actually create analytic models that you can share with them that they can interact with and understand. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Renee for one last time to take us through this new application, Insights.
Thank you, Ben. So we took a look at some of the applications, and as Ben mentioned, Insights is another one of our new web application experiences. It allows you fast, dynamic, and powerful data exploration and discovery. So we're going to take a quick look at what Insights is. So once again, I am accessing my portal, and I can go out and I can search for data. So I'm grabbing that same global terrorism data set that we saw earlier, and we're loading that data in. I'm going to make this map a little larger so we can see it and zoom in. So what Insights allows us to do is take a look at the map and see what's going on in the area. But now that I have this here, it shows me all of my different features within it. So I'm going to click on a couple, and we're going to create a quick tree map to take a look at this, to the information. So this map is taking a look at global terrorism data, and what we see here is each one of these represents a different terrorism event by a specific group. So here we have the Taliban, and if you notice as I click on the tree map, the map up top changes accordingly. If I click on ISIL, it takes you to where it is there. But the area of interest that we are looking at right today, that we're concentrating on, is Boko Haram. So I can see here I have a data set, and I want to bring that out. So if by simply clicking the highlighted data, I can create a brand new map. So what I have here is, you'll notice I have several what we refer to as pages, and each individual one is a card. So I can go back here and I can highlight this, and now I have all my data here, and now I have just the specific information. So we're back over Nigeria. What's really nice about this is we can do quick analysis on this. I can take this information in and I can take a look at it. I can then also go in here and create additional charts as well. And this chart's looking at all the global terrorism over the years. And we can see that there's been a big increase. In 2014 was larger than 15, but it progressively has gotten a greater number since 2004. So what I've gone ahead and done is some additional analysis looking at Nigeria. So once again, you'll see in this map here, I have that same data set, and we've done a couple different maps. I can click on one here. They're all interactive. I can zoom in on this specific point that I highlighted. I can get the information for it. It tells me what's going on, which incident it was of it. If I zoom out on this map, this is a summarized count. So it's all interactive and dynamic use for you as you work through. Now this is looking at the state analysis of Nigeria, but we've also done this for the local government. So we've taken the same information, I took the state boundaries and looked at the aggregated events. This is very similar to the map I created in Portal for ArcGIS. And then we've also taken a look at that and looked at individual towns and properties within here as well. So looking at the population, the purchasing power, you'll notice there's been a large amount of purchasing in the specific area in that northeast section as well. But one of the biggest things to take away from insights is that it is the fast and dynamical, powerful data exploration, but it has the ability to capture our workflow. So in every click that we've created in each one of these pages, it has captioned this into a model that I can share out. So I'm saving my workflow and sharing that process out to someone else to allow them to implement that in their specific area. So that's a quick view of what Insights looks like, and I hope you take the time to dig into it and utilize it. And with that, I will turn it back over to Ben.
All right, thank you, Renee. So that was a quick tour of the Insights application. So hopefully what you could see there is that, of course, you could use it to do your own analysis, but I also think of it as a great application to collaborate with other analysts and data scientists in your organization. So you can develop some of these models and some of these cards and pages and then share them, and they could use that as a way to explore geographic data and explore problems in a geographic way with that authoritative content and that kind of power behind it, but use some of their knowledge around statistics and data. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of wrap up the discussion and recap a little bit. And this would be a good time if you have any questions, you can start to go ahead and enter them into the question box on the GoToWebinar control. So we talked about the idea of the need to manage foundational content, whether that's content you bring in, whether that's content that Esri produces, or that we bring in from partners. And then, of course, we have the ability to share workflows, models, and tools and analytics. We can create these mission-focused applications from templates and leverage these reusable widgets and give people dynamic content that they can work with. And, of course, that lets us push it out to our intelligence community and our operational community in order to have an integrated intelligence environment where we can work together and leveraging GIS at its heart. Of course, the reason we want to do that is we want to integrate and enrich our intelligence information using location. We use location to understand what's happening in the world around us by seeing how things are connected in space and in time, and connected to other things, connected to our foundational information, how things are happening, as you saw examples from Renee in that last analytic example of working with demographic information about social cultural issues, as well as incident and attack data. So we can see how we can bring all of that data together into a spatial environment and integrate it together using location, and using that as a way to really drive the value of location to everybody in our intelligence enterprise. So as a GIS professional, what do you need to do to kind of get out of the basement and stop being that kind of map room clerk and turn more into the person who's solving the problems for your intelligence agency? You can focus on enabling that self-service GIS by helping get the portal implemented in your organization and getting good content registered in it. You can deliver these mission-focused applications, configure these apps for people in your organization. You can curate useful content, make sure that you have ready-to-use content on your portal. And then you can focus on some of the specialty analytics where you're bringing that location-based analysis to your organization, leveraging applications like Insights. So, we really do see that GIS professionals can be the backbone of intelligence. You'll move just from responding to requests to actually empowering your customers, giving them tools that they need in new ways to do their jobs, not just answering the question they've sent to you. So thank you all for attending and spending the last hour with us. Please enter any questions into the question and answer module. We'll spend a few minutes answering questions. If you can follow up with us on our Defense Intelligence community on GeoNet. If you want more information about ArcGIS Pro and Insights for ArcGIS, we have the URLs there. And with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Thank you, Ben and Renee. That was really great. So we do have a couple questions that have come through already. I will go ahead and read off the first one. It says, in terms of logistics, can one show chronological movements in a video?
Great question. So first off, I guess just to answer the question more broadly is, in terms of logistics, we could bring in real-time information from any of your systems. So you think about a lot of the things you might be tracking in a logistics system will have transponders or trackers. You can bring that in with real-time analysis, and then you can make time-aware maps that anybody can view through those focused applications. So you can make a time-aware application that somebody can view in a web browser. And then, of course, using ArcGIS Pro, you could then turn that into a video. ArcGIS Pro has the ability to make animation, so you definitely could create a video from that. Go to the next question.
Perfect, Ben. So we had another guest that wanted us to reiterate which software we showed today.
Okay, that's pretty easy to do. So first off, I guess I'll just mention, a lot of you in your agencies, you might be on various versions of the software. One of the things that we were showing today was the new desktop product, which is ArcGIS Pro. The 2.0 release just came out yesterday. If you have ArcGIS Pro on your computer, you can have access to that. If your organization hasn't rolled out ArcGIS Pro to you, in many cases you have access to it through the home use program. If you would like to know more about that, you can contact us and we can put you in touch with whoever manages your agency's access to our software, or you can get access to trial versions of it. So if you want to see what this new desktop product does, you can do that by using it at home. And if you need to use it inside your enterprise, we can help connect you with the people in your organization to help roll that out. ArcGIS Pro is available for many people in many different agencies and organizations. We also showed Insights for ArcGIS, which is something that you get with the portal. The latest version of that is out as well, and it's part of our 10.5.1 release, which came out earlier this week. It also is available with the 10.5 release for portal.
Perfect, thanks for that.
Hopefully that answers that.
Yeah. So we have another question. It says, can we configure the form to collect data in a community?
Yes, that's a great question. So that's all. We actually have a number of different applications that you can configure based on your requirements to collect data. So we have the GeoForm, Survey 123, and Collector for ArcGIS. And all of those can be configured based on the types of data you need to collect and the kind of questions you want to ask. And that's exactly the kind of role we see as for GIS professionals, to help set those kind of applications up for their organization. We can go ahead and take a couple more.
Okay. We have two more that I'll go ahead and read off. We have one that says, can you run the Insights app on AGO public account, or do you need an org?
So the Insights application currently is only available with Portal for ArcGIS. It's not actually available for ArcGIS Online accounts. There is a plan by the end of the year to make it available for ArcGIS Online, but you will need an organization, and it is a premium application. It's an application that costs money to actually use, licensed based on the number of users who are using it.
Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and take our last question here. It says, can you bring video already captured and add that to your app/story map? Can you make annotations on the video?
So you can add video and other media to story maps, and you can embed that inside of your story map. In terms of making annotation on the video, we don't have that in our story map application, but you can do that with our full motion video add-in. You can actually capture features from video, and you can take data that you have in your map and you can use that in the video as well. All right. Okay, that sounds like a good number of questions. So we'll make this webinar video available, which you guys will all be notified afterwards. And with that, thanks a lot for joining us, and we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben and Renee. And just a reminder, you will have a pop-up at the end of this webinar when you close out with a few questions. We hope you'll take a moment and share your opinions on today's session with us. Thank you.